Let me start this video by saying it's more like an objective discussion. These are simply my honest thoughts on today's project. I haven't been paid or anything like that. The community know the drill by now, but I encourage open discourse always. If you disagree with me or if I've missed anything or if I'm wrong, please let me know. It's the best way for us all to learn and develop together. Also, I've spoken about today's project multiple times lately in my Discord, which is free, on my Twitter, which is free, and also in my newsletter, which is free. These mediums are so much quicker for me to get my thoughts and analysis out compared to a YouTube video. So if you aren't connected with me across those platforms, feel free to do so, link down below. Yo people, I hope you're all doing magnificently well. Video today is on an RWA project that was mentioned in our community Discord months and months ago, and seeing it at today's price levels combined with recent developments enticed me enough to make a video breaking the project down and giving my thoughts. It's definitely worth researching on your own. As always, remember, whilst I am a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice. So before getting into the project itself, let me break down the narrative. Real world assets. I've been yapping on about RWA for a good 18 months now, saying that it's one of the few narratives in crypto with real use case, demand, and potential for the future. I've made a point out of saying if BlackRock are taking an avid interest and making further strides in this sector, who are we to ignore what the most powerful company in the world is doing? Larry Fink literally dedicated an entire section to tokenization in his letter to investors this year. Very simply, real-world assets is about bringing traditional assets onto the blockchain. These assets can be real estate, bonds, private equity, art, pretty much anything. You may be wondering, what are the benefits of doing this? Well, bringing these assets on-chain means there's instant 24/7 access and global liquidity. You can have fractional ownership like splitting up a property or a bond. Faster settlement and lower costs are a given. There's also transparency on chain, which is traceable and immutable, all of which have been common negatives of traditional assets. According to CoinMarketCap, the RWA sector has a market cap of $75 billion. I don't know how accurate this is, but a lot of the projects I'm seeing here aren't even RWA focused, so the real value is most likely way lower. Various asset managers and analysts have predicted that the RWA sector is to be worth trillions and trillions in the future. And given the way we're going with blockchain tech, crypto is set to capture a big chunk of this. Essentially, the top major RWA coins could be comfortably worth billions in the future. Even values such as a few $1 billion in market cap would barely scratch the surface of a growing sector expected to run way into the trillions. The point I'm trying to make is this sector is real. There is a growth strategy in place here and we are early. Not every coin will succeed, we know that, but the ones that do will succeed in an enormous way. It's up to myself and others to sniff out the opportunities and execute accordingly. Today's coin is Chintai or CHEX. Also, I don't know if it's Chintai or Chintai. I think it's Chintai, but I'm just going to call it CHEX. But I've mentioned CHEX before on this channel. It was around 50 cents in price, and I said that whilst I liked the project, it had been pumping a lot at the time and it wasn't worth entering in the hype. And it actually topped out shortly after that video and began to drop quickly with the rest of the market. In light of recent developments, as well as the entry price right now, I found it worth speaking about, so here we are, but more on that later. Let's start with the basics. What is CHEX? This is a protocol based in Singapore and very simply is a platform that puts real-world assets on the blockchain. Think of Chintai as a digital stock exchange of sorts, but instead of trading Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can trade tokenized versions of real things. Chintai can target pretty much anyone and everyone, from entrepreneurs to SMEs to the largest financial institutions. Another analogy I've seen people use a lot for Chintai is the Shopify for RWA. So the website is very meh. Not bad, but not incredible. I did hear that a new updated website is on the way, but to be honest, the type of clientele that this protocol is attracting and wants to attract, they do not really care for websites and social medias. They're proper traditional finance, the type to do multi-million-dollar deals and not even have a website or a big following themselves. I heard that directly from their CEO David on CHEX's AMA recently. I encourage you all to listen. But I digress. The website overall isn't amazing, but it may not be a big hindrance. There are a plethora of different partnerships and clients, but the one I want to highlight in particular is them being licensed and regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. This is huge because it means they're trusted at the same level as a real financial institution. Whilst most crypto RWA projects are still operating in the Wild West, Chintai is one of the few that can legally serve banks, institutions, and funds, and that's exactly who holds the trillions of dollars in assets waiting to be tokenized. Quick break to ask, why are you not part of the best free community in crypto? Join over 1,000 people determined to make money and help each other out. Sign up to the email newsletter too, it's all free, you've got no excuse, link down below. Cutting straight to the important stuff, the major news that's been broken lately, which is seemingly going under the radar, is Chintai tokenizing $1.6 billion worth of gold onto their platform with the company Smart Gold. This is an absolutely enormous figure and should start setting the precedent for what we'll see more of in the future. What this means is that the gold has been tokenized one-to-one, it remains insured and vaulted, but can now be used in DeFi, unlocking liquidity, allowing it to be used as collateral, it can generate yield, and it's an enormous cosign for Chintai. Their platform is clearly ready and working, and is an attractive option for institutes. This is exactly what projects need in order to accelerate adoption, and they couldn't have picked a better asset to do so. This is quite literally what these tokenization protocols are supposed to do, tokenize. And we have one clearly moving in the right direction here, much more than what can be said for other projects in this space. I've seen people trying to spread FUD about Smart Gold's authenticity, but the website is live, there are Trustpilot reviews, there's also contact information, so on my side, I couldn't really see anything to prove this otherwise, but it's always good to fact check. Another partnership announced recently was with Chainlink. In August, Chintai integrated with Chainlink, transforming CHEX into a fully cross-chain compliant token. Using Chainlink's CCIP, which stands for Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol, their data feeds and proof of reserve, institutions can now originate regulated assets, from real estate to funds, across chains like the US and the UAE without compliance friction. This makes CHEX not just a utility token, but a global interoperability layer for institutional grade tokenization. We all know Link is one of the more institutionally recognized professional projects in crypto, so to secure this partnership again speaks volumes about what's going on behind the scenes for CHEX. It's compliant, it's cross-chain at scale, it's accelerating institutional adoption. There's many positives here. So there was a community AMA a couple weeks ago. In this there were solid updates provided by David and the team, so it's definitely worth listening to. However, one particular comment to note is apparently there is a partnership coming soon with a top 5 asset manager and also one with a top 20 asset manager. The top 5 one is very interesting as it narrows it down to these sorts of names. Again, this is just speculation and things can change last minute, deals can fall through, but if CHEX do manage to land this, then let's just say it won't be sitting at the market cap it is today for much longer. Moving on to the actual CHEX token itself, does it actually serve a purpose or is it just there for show? It launched in 2019 and the token is Chintai's native utility fuel, used for asset issuance, trading, staking, gas fees and governance. The supply is 1 billion, which is pretty industry standard, but what's interesting is 100% of the tokens are in circulation. There are no further dumps coming in, no unlocks from VCs, nothing like that, which is a pretty unique situation to be in crypto. The breakdown is transparent, 20% went to the team, of which they still hold a significant amount. Some have been reserved within the protocol itself, and another portion was for marketing, exchange listings, partnerships, etc. On top of that, the tokenomics are actually deflationary via platform-driven buybacks and burns. 5% of the platform fees are bought back and burnt, reducing the supply of CHEX over the long run. I am a fan of these kinds of revenue models, and if executed correctly, it can really sustain the protocol and drive up the value of the token. Credibility matters just as much as technology. The team is doxed and you can dive into each member in more detail online. Chintai CEO David Packham, a fellow Brit, has over 20 years in traditional finance with stints at HSBC, Barclays and Goldman Sachs. They've also got significant legal backing with Thomas from Pinsent Masons as general counsel, which is perfect for regulation. And of course, remember, they're fully licensed by Singapore's monetary authority as both a recognized market operator and capital markets services provider. I want to re-emphasize that's so rare in crypto. Most RWA projects are still unlicensed experiments. Now, remaining objective, you could argue that some of Chintai's partnerships are with smaller or newer firms, and you could question how much real-world adoption they've landed so far. But compared to the competition, CHEX has one of the most experienced teams backed by regulatory approval, and we are starting to see the tide turn in regards to deals and partnerships onboarded. The social media presence is decent as well, with over 100,000 followers across both of their pages, with an actively engaged community from what I've seen. A few thousand are in their Telegram as well. It's best to contextualize CHEX against its competitors in the RWA space. There are a few I've selected to discuss. Naturally, Ondo will be a good indicator given it's the industry leader. Market-leading treasury token narrative, it has institutional awareness from companies like BlackRock, Coinbase, MasterCard. Large TVL, this is the safest RWA play. Given it's the market leader though, and it's already valued in the multi-billions, its upside may be somewhat limited. Also, the token unlocks / potential dilution are worth noting. Pendle I see getting mentioned a lot in the RWA sector, but I personally feel this falls more into DeFi. Massive TVL, strong yields, not really an easy direct comparison with what CHEX is doing. Still around $900 million in market cap. Maple Finance is similar to this as well, a strong credit protocol, but can it really be likened to the subsector within RWA that CHEX falls into? Probably not. Still a large play at 500 million though. Mantra is a lot easier to compare. Layer 1 blockchain for RWA with massive tokenization potential, many regional partnerships too. However, the fall from grace has to be mentioned. This token went from being worth $6 billion to 500 million in a matter of days, a 90% drop. The CEO said this was due to forced liquidations on exchanges, causing their token to crash. There were also reports of insider dumping. Whatever the reason, the sharp drop is horrific and cannot be attributed to normal market pullbacks. Whether the project can recover or not, I'm not sure, but it shows what can go wrong no matter how big you are. It's still valued relatively high though at over 200 million. Finally, Centrifuge is a project similar in both proposition and market cap to Chintai. They are too tokenizing financial products. They have a list of partners and a working product. Market cap is larger than CHEX's at 160 million. However, they are not as regulated or audited as CHEX. Hopefully you can start to see why I believe CHEX is in a unique position when compared against its rivals. No one can really boast to the depth of regulation and legality tick boxes that Chintai can. The MAS regulation, the partnership with one of the largest cryptocurrency projects out there in Chainlink, tokenizing over $1 billion worth of gold, apparent partnerships incoming with top 5 asset managers. Yes, it can be seen as the riskiest play out of all of these due to it being the lowest market cap, but on paper when compared, should it really be ranked lowest? Getting on to price analysis and prediction, CHEX is currently listed on some good exchanges, Gate, MEXC, Bing, but notably Kraken. This is an excellent addition, a tier 1 exchange, and it really opens up this project to a huge customer base. There are rumors of another T1 listing coming later this year as well. The price now is under 10 cents, giving it a market cap of around 97 or 98 million. Bear in mind the price has been volatile lately. I've seen it drop to 9 cents but also pump to 18 cents all within the last month. If we look at the full price history, this token has been around for a while. It was a sleeper throughout the bear market before exploding in both the mini alt seasons in 2024. First in April time and then truly at the end of the year in December, reaching an all-time high of around 80 cents. Of course, given the high-risk nature of this project, the market conditions, Trump's tariffs, and overall uncertainty, the price has slumped to where we are now. So the key question is, can CHEX do it all again, if not better? It's important to note that when CHEX did pump to 80 cents, it did so without being listed on Kraken, without tokenizing 1.6 billion of gold, without a Chainlink partnership. It was dormant for years whilst the team built, and now finally they've secured licenses and have a working product. A lot more than what can be said for other projects out there. Working product, relevant licensing, great tokenomics, strong partners, good exchanges. The only thing missing for me is marketing. If investors, retail and institutes find out what CHEX is and what it's offering, why wouldn't they choose the platform? The regulatory headaches are taken care of, the big valuation and numbers are there. Unless there's something I'm missing, which I keep saying please let me know if I am, then I don't see how CHEX isn't poised to perform really well in the future. You all know I'm not one of those deluded crypto guys. I'm not going to scream this token will 100x or 50x, but given the argument presented today and when compared against other projects, it does feel very undervalued. 5 to 10x reaching previous highs would be lovely. I don't think RWA has had an explosion yet, as seen with AI, memes, agents. If that were to happen, I think this one would perform very well. Wrapping up the video in the CSM, does CHEX have innovative tech? It does. An RWA tokenization platform. Relevant narrative is yes, RWA. Low market cap, yup, under 100 million. Good tokenomics when considering 100% in circulation and the deflationary mechanism is yes. Key partnerships with recent developments is yes. Smart Gold, Chainlink, and let's not forget the Singapore license. Active community, from what I've seen on X, I'd say yeah. Shiny coin effect is a no, it was around in the previous cycle. Fair launched, I actually don't know. We saw the sale was in 2019, and that means it's most likely irrelevant now regardless. But yeah, I actually don't know. I'm leaning towards it probably wasn't. And finally, promising roadmap is in the middle because I have heard of upcoming developments, but they're not easy to find. It would be nice if there was a section on the website dedicated to this. But yeah, people, that's the video on CHEX wrapped up. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Remember, this is objective analysis and just my thoughts. The free newsletter is live and is going out to thousands of you. I'm getting very good feedback, so please feel free to sign up. Link is down below. Join the Discord and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.